Yeah, first, the 2020 was just exceptional or unknown world in the point we started to harvest the 2020 the 24th of August. So 20 years ago, some scientific were predicting that one day we'll have to harvest Pinot Noir in Burgundy in August, comparing the natural timing, which is more middle of September, end of September, and it happens in 2020. So it was just a bit scary, it's true, but finally I took the option to harvest in very early wagon, and to preserve the freshness of the wine, be sure the phenolic ripeness was there, and it's amazing how the wine they show in Burgundy, how the wine they kept some freshness. They're very concentrated because it was a very dry vintage, a very dry season. We get no rain, we get a lot of sun, but the vines they've been so well adapted with very deep roots, probably with the option of the farming I chose for a long time now. They did not suffer, they didn't get any water stress in 2020, and finally the wine is pretty well balanced.
Thank you, Cyprien. You really have some amazing kind of, there's a combination of freshness, intensity of fruit, but the wines are so balanced. With the warm, dry vintage, it's something I did not expect.
For me, it was the key. The key was to avoid any water stress from the vineyards. And it's a long-term work to make the vines, get the roots very deep, almost disconnected from the heat and from the dry. And in the wine, I'm also amazed by the elegance for warm and with the heat, the elegance of the tannins and the ripeness of the tannins. I was a great fan. I am a great fan of 2019. For me, it's probably one of the 2-3 best vintages in the century, 2019. But I have to say that with 2020, we can be, for some wines, equivalent or maybe over the 19.
We've fallen in love all over again. It's an amazing lineup of wines. The one thing that you mentioned too that I just want to point out, you were saying how it's the village level, the Bourgogne and lower level wines that really were hit by the stress of since 2018 from these warm vintages and dry vintages, and it really has kind of hit the quantities quite hard for those appellations.
That's true. It's true. We never expect to get a very high yield on the slope with the Grand Cru and the Premier Cru. So 2020 with the dryness, the yield was very small. But they were much more smaller on the Village and the Bourgogne, because those parcels located on the bottom of the slope, the Bourgogne and the Village wine, they're not used to this kind of dry weather. So they've been more affected on the yield, also on the water stress probably, from 2020. But so we start with the Premier Cru for the picking and the Grand Cru, and last was the Village and the Bourgogne to get the phenolic ripeness. And 2020 we were playing with the limit of the height ripeness of the fruit and the phenolic ripeness. But the more important was to pick fruit they were ripe, the tannins were ripe, and sometimes you have to wait. And for the Bourgogne, it's true the ripeness is pretty high to get the phenolic ripeness.
And just to give one example, I think Oka from your Bourgogne Oka, from 2018 to 20, the quantity was
divided by 4. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So hopefully that's going to return. Hopefully with them, we get some.
It's true, but one thing I can see is all the vineyards from the Domaine vines being farmed with a certain philosophy for 20 years. They've been not that much affected by the water stress, by lower yield. They kept a good vitality, a good. They were more efficient to the heat and to the sun. And comparing the small quantity of rain we had, the vines from the Domaine have been farmed organically and biodynamically with the horse blowing everything. They get 30% less of a normal yield, which is not a disaster comparing how the weather was dry, which is for me, it makes me very optimistic with the future. We have a big challenge with the climate changes, and with 2020 we keep our feet in Burgundy, so it's for me it makes the future very, very optimistic.
Great tasting. Thank you very much, Cyprien.